Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay, he's Maddie, and this is the Yankee and the Brit Monday night pregame.
Back to normal after a change of programming on Sunday, which I thought went quite well. I thought was quite an interesting way of doing the show.
Yeah, and then it locked in our picks. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm 9-5 right now, so we'll see how the week ends. It could end up good or bad. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not doing too hot, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, we move on. I think I'm in a blind spot this season, if I'm being perfectly honest. Not a great spot to be.
Well, I talked myself out of a win right on the pod Monday or Sunday morning with the I originally took the fucking Patriots, and then in the middle of it, I talked myself out of it and took the fucking Jets.
I watched you do that when it was going live, and after I'd recorded mine, and I sat there and I realized that I did exactly the same thing. I was like, yeah, it's going to be the Patriots. I was going to be like, oh yeah, the Patriots are going to be absolutely all over the Jets. They're going to walk them. Like Zach Wilson's not going to get the ball off. I mean, I even nearly predicted they were going to get a safety because of how dominant their defensive line was going to be. And then I just went, but Breece Hall, man. But the Jets can run the ball. They can run the ball. And then I always forget that Bill Belichick's one of the best defensive minds of all time.
Well, that defense, I was like, okay, that defense is going to, fucking keep them in the game late. And then I tell myself dumb shit like, well, Zach Wilson's older now. He's more mature. He's with Rodgers in the offseason. Like, I didn't expect him to light the world on fire. But, like, bro, when you make Sam Darnold as a Jet look good, there's a problem.
Yeah, maybe the Jets should ask Sam Darnold to come back.
Well, that's the new thing. Every fucking person with a microphone's like, Kirk Cousins going to get traded to the Jets. And it's like, dude, he's got a no trade clause. Why would he waive it for a team that's going to want Aaron Rodgers again next year?
Yeah, I think everybody's looking into the Vikings 0-3.
They're done.
0-3 now. They are done. They are done, but they're looking into it. But the 0-3 is against three decent teams, close losses, more the Vikings losing as well. Like then
7 fucking turnovers.
Anything else? Yeah.
Fumbles. Sorry, 7 fucking fumbles.
Yeah, 7 fumbles in the season so far. How do you have a fumble issue as an organization? That's what kind of blows my mind. Like one player, okay, and then you pull them. But like
what it really is it's you know the old saying, if it can go wrong, it does go wrong. That's what seems to be happening. Like Madison, the ball, the guy tackling's helmet hits the ball dead on. What are you going to do as a running back, right? Like, Cousins got blown the fuck up. I'm surprised he wasn't unconscious when he fumbled that one. Yeah. Like, it's just those plays, and it's like, it's not like they're the player not securing the ball most of the time. It's the exact right moment for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean 7 is a bit more than luck. There is an issue there, but
and one of them,
4 of those are probably just wrong plays.
The turnovers are bad because they're not normal. Yeah, they're not normal turnovers.
Yeah,
because even KJ Osborne catches one and it gets ripped right out of his arms. That's an interception. I don't know why that's not a fumble, but that was an interception. And then TJ Hawkinson gets hit in the arms yesterday. It hits him right in the arms yesterday, bounces up. And I'm not saying that like this shit happens, right? So it's just the worst. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying what's going on is what can go wrong is going wrong this year, as where last year it seemed like the ball bounced our way.
Yeah, and Justin Jefferson reaching through the end zone and fumbling the ball as well in the last game. Like it feels like that type of season. Where do you want to see the Vikings go from here? What would you like the Viking season to look like? Because obviously going into contract negotiations with Kirk Cousins.
I think they should trade KJ Osborne and Danielle Hunter before the trade deadline.
To try and get some picks for
going into not going to. Neither of them are going to be back next year. Why would we re-sign KJ when we drafted Jordan Addison and he looks good, right? Yeah. So like KJ's out after this year. his contract's up. Daniil, we just gave him enough to make him happy this year. Like, he's not coming back. Trade them and trade them to a team that needs them at trade close to the trade deadline. A pass rusher or receiver, and get more value now than you would in an off season. Not that they even have next off season to do it, but you know what I middle of the season trade, sometimes you can squeeze more out of a team than they normally would give up because they're like, we're right on the brink of winning this thing. If we get a pass rusher, we can win this thing, or one more weapon on offense, we can win this thing with KJ Osborne, right? Maybe you can get a second for KJ Osborne and a first and something for Daniil Hunter.
Yeah, and when you're on the so you're out on the Vikings now, like not picking them for playoffs because 3 losses, you make it to the playoff with 3 losses. Hell, you make it to the playoffs with 7.
It can happen, but it's the way that everything that can go wrong is going wrong. I'm not sure. Yeah. And even if you could in this division, and we'll get to it, but the Packers had a very lucky win this weekend. Derek Carr doesn't get dropped on his head. That's a whole different game. So that division's still winnable. The playoffs are still, you might even get in the playoffs with 9 losses this year, but I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they're going to be, because they literally could be 3-0 and they're 0-3.
Yeah, it's the fact that they've played the Eagles, who are obviously Super Bowl, coming off the Super Bowl. They've played the Chargers, who everybody expects to be one of the better teams in the league. The Chargers possibly not an amazing matchup for you guys, considering their offensive power, the defensive holes in.
They didn't even have their starting fucking running back.
Yeah.
The one guy who knew our team didn't play in Kendricks because he was out. You know what I mean? It's fucking, they should have had that game. They did everything they could to lose that game.
Yeah, definitely. And to lose it by 4 points, because they were kind of doing all the right stuff. Because how many
Chargers fans last night were calling for Staley's job?
I'd still take Staley's job. I'd still take it, to be honest. But yeah, Madison runs for nearly 100 yards. Jefferson still gets 149.
140 all-purpose or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the game plan against the Chargers, though, isn't it? Run it down their throats, and you have Madison doing that. Kirk Cousins still throws 32 for 50 for 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. But then on the other side of the ball, Justin Herbert throws for 40 and 47. He only made 7 incompletions all night, 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, with Keenan Allen getting 8 receptions for 215 yards.
We blitzed the fuck out of them and still couldn't get there. That was the problem. And Cousins right now has almost 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns in 3 games.
I said it in my pick show that Cousins is possibly the best quarterback in the NFL stats-wise so far this year, and is 0-3. If the Jets managed to trade for him, it would be a coup, and I think it would be an admission that maybe Aaron Rodgers isn't the guy.
This is what I tell you, and nobody's going to do this, but this is what I want. If you want Kirk Cousins, I want your first-round draft pick that you have left, because they gave one to the Packers, but they had 2.
Yeah.
So I want your first-round draft pick, and I want Rodgers.
Fair enough. I think that's a fair trade, And
then you ride Nick Mullins out this year. You get you get a crack at drafting a quarterback while having Rodgers for at least one.
You get a crack at this excellent QB class, by the way.
Right, and then you get Rodgers for a year who gets to play the Packers.
Who gets the sit? Yeah, and your quarterback gets the sit as well. That's a nice trade, and the Jets get Kirk Cousins, which is a fair trade for them as well.
Isn't it supposed to be that Aaron Rodgers comes to the Vikings next year because Brett Favre went to the Jets?
He's just copying Brett Favre's career all the way through.
Yeah, just fucking ride it out.
That's what it's going to be, right? But you don't want to get rid of Kirk Cousins.
You can't do that because in essence, you gave up all of that for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, do you compound a mistake for a mistake? But I think if you're the Jets, you just go, okay, this season we've got unlucky. Let's make sure we're still playing hard defense, and our defense sticks together, and let's give ourselves the best crack at some more excellent draft picks.
Does it buy the coaches another year because Rodgers is hurt? Because you'd be
I think
stupid to
so.
get
Yeah,
rid of
I think
Salah
so.
because then or Hackett goes with him, and that would be.
Yeah, I think so, because you have to keep Nathaniel Hackett because Rodgers wants him. So even if the offense looks this terrible, then you still keep him, and Nathaniel Hackett has to stay. And Robert Saleh gets a lot of hate, but his defensive side of the ball, so the side of the ball that he brings to the table, I know being a head coach, you're meant to do both sides, but what he brings to the table is one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
So how much a really shitty, like, I wouldn't say now that the Jets have a shit culture, by the way. Like, they've been notoriously awful culture-wise, but since Salah's got there, I don't think they have a terrible culture.
And now, even if Nathaniel Hackett does great as an offensive coordinator, you probably don't lose him after the whole fiasco of him being a head coach in Denver.
Oh, he's never been a head coach again.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah. Crazier shit has happened.
He's not head coaching again unless Rodgers requests it.
At 47.
Yeah. 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 Unless Rodgers requests it, then yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, and I have been the Jordan Love defender on this show, but I don't think that Jordan Love had really anything to do with that win. I think that the Packers got lucky that Carr got dumped on his head, and I don't think they are even close in that game if Carr doesn't go out.
Yeah, I mean, Carr was semi-lighting it up. He threw 13 of 18 tries for 103 yards and 1 TD. And they're looking good. Like, while he's in the game, they're looking really good. Looking fantastic. You then get Jameis Winston, who is just really not a bad replacement to have. If Jameis Winston is your backup quarterback, then you're doing all right, aren't you? But he throws in the rest of the game after Derek Carr throws for 101 yards, so 2 yards less than Derek Carr on 16 attempts, making 10 completions. So they run the ball a lot when Jameis Winston comes in the game.
And Derek Carr's yards were picking up first downs and making plays. Jameis Winston's were just completing passes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, underneath stuff, like making,
Yeah, Carr was making the important play on third down, or getting the yard and that kind of thing. And I'm not gonna lie, it kind of irked the fuck out of me. The Packers won that game.
Yeah, I mean, fair on the Packers for coming in, fair on the Packers for making the 17-point deficit up in the fourth quarter. 17-point deficit. Fair play to them. Well played. John Love throws for 259 yards, I think it was. 250? Let me have a look.
I got it right here.
Throws for
259 yards. One interception.
Yeah, one touchdown, one interception.
That was an ugly interception, too. I don't even know who the fuck he was throwing that to.
Yeah, and only completing 50% of his throws as well, like 50% of his attempts. So how much did Jordan Love have to do with that? How much is it desperation ball being 17-0 down? I was talking about this with my dad, actually. I'm not sure in many sports where you've got yourself into a position where you're shutting out the opposition, right? Defensively, you have shut down the opposition. So in the fourth quarter, you play super passive ball in the hope that they don't score points quickly, but they're not going to score points quickly if they don't score any points because you've kept and shut them out the way that you're defending. So I really never get it. I really, really struggle. Like, I get it in like a high scoring game where you've not really been able to stop them. So you're ahead in the fourth quarter. So the goal is don't let them move down the field quickly. But if you're shutting them out, why change anything on the defensive side of the ball? Why change absolutely anything?
Prevent defense prevents you from winning.
Yeah. It just, that's a good saying. That's a good saying. We should adopt that for the show. That should be our defensive motto for when we start our American football team. That's our defensive coordinator's motto right there. Prevent defense prevents winning. Yeah, love it. Let's write that on the defensive coordinator's wall when we start our football team. That's perfect. I hate prevent defense. It's so dumb. It makes no sense to me. Nothing makes sense to me in prevent defense at all.
Well, then a question: what is no defense do for you? Because that's exactly what the Broncos played yesterday.
I was really hoping you were going to segue to the Broncos after that because that was perfect, Jay. Like that's professional.
Like, what is no defense? Because that's exactly what the Broncos played. Is, dude, do you realize how quickly you have to score to put up seven fucking touchdowns on a team? It's fucking insanity. I don't know.
Yeah, did you see who was it in our league? St. Louis Snipers, whose team is basically Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback, Mostert at running back, and Tyreek Hill a wide receiver, and he's got 230 points already or something like that.
I got Mostert in one of my other leagues, and 45 points he had this weekend on fantasy, and I had Walker for the fucking Seahawks on that team too.
That's a lot of points coming from a running back room right there.
75.
75 points from a running back room. That's tasty. Yeah, 45 points from one running back is absolutely insane.
And I
think Tua got 32 points, Mostert got 35, and Tyreek Hill got 36 or something like that, like something ridiculous as well. So it's just, but I said it on my pick show. I said this, and it's one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite takes that I've heard about the Broncos so far this year, that their actual problem is a defensive issue. Like, everybody's so quick to blame Russell Wilson, but that's just papering over the cracks of what's actually wrong with the Broncos.
How do you blame Russell Wilson when he went 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception?
Yeah, so coming up to last week, they had one of the highest point score. Like, they were one of the highest point scorers per drive in the NFL.
Mid 60s in percentage throwing too.
Yeah, they like when you look at their drives to point scoring ratio this year in the NFL, Russell Wilson is not the issue. Their defense just doesn't get off the field. But everybody's got this idea that the Broncos have an amazing defense and Russell Wilson is the issue. And I'm sick of NFL commentary. I find it so difficult that this happens every year, where we forget that entire teams can change, like, in a year. You can go from worst to first in a year. Like, everybody goes off the past. What happened last year? What was going on last year? And in some cases, in some cases you can pick that up. So, like, we knew that the 49ers were going to have a pretty electric offense because of what we saw last year. We knew that Brock Purdy was going to be pretty decent at distributing the ball because of what we saw last year. Okay, we can do that. But you can't then, after being shown 2 samples of the games where the Broncos have a defensive problem, just blame everything on Russell Wilson. So I hope this game kind of shines a light on the fact that Russell Wilson isn't the problem in Denver. Like, he's not the solution either, but he's not the problem.
Dude, this looks so like a Madden game. I'm looking at the points by quarter, and Miami's like 14, 21, 14, 21.
It looks like somebody basically ran deep play action crosses, set their offensive line to protection sliding right, and then just threw the most toxic route in all of Madden, where it's just undefendable the entire game. That's what this looks like. But the fact that they scored 70 points and Raheem Mostert got 45 fantasy
and Waddle
points,
wasn't even playing.
Yeah, what? Oh my God. Yeah, their running back got 45 fantasy points in a 70-20 win. What?
Can you believe you just said that?
70 to 20. What's that? The biggest win since 1966 or something like that.
All the kicker had to do was kick 7 extra points.
Oh my God. Yeah, the points per quarter. 14, 21, 14, 21. That's insane. Tua Tagovailoa only threw for 309 yards.
4 tuds, though.
4 touchdowns for 300. Yeah, 4 touchdowns, 309 yards. He only threw 26 times.
Bro, he only had 3 incompletions.
Has anybody got Devon Arcane in our fantasy league? Because
if they don't, somebody's on the waiver wire tomorrow because that's how there are so little free agents that one person has a great game, people throw him on their bench praying he keeps going.
Yeah, well, that's what I've done with Kyron Williams, who we'll see if that keeps going today. But yeah, I'm going to have a look. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to put a claim on him right now. Is it just me, or did he remind you of, no, he's been picked up by, Hef.
Oh, Montana. Yeah.
Yeah, Montana's got him. Okay, anyway. Did he remind you of Jay Ajayi at all? Okay. Remember Jay Ajayi?
Yeah, not
British
running back. You said it, but okay.
Yeah, British running back for the Miami Dolphins. He had, I think Jay Ajayi had 3 games in a row where he ran for 200 yards, and then we just didn't see him in the NFL again. Like that's who he reminded me of. Yeah, that's crazy game. Raheem Mostert only ran for 82 yards.
83 yards.
82. Okay. 82 yards. 82 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chris Brook ran for 66 yards.
And he had some receptions.
Yeah. Devon Archain averaged 11.3 yards a carry. What do you do with... Oh, by the way, also, Mike White got a touchdown in this game. So Mike White had 2 attempts for 67 yards and 1 touchdown in this game. What do you do if you're the Broncos after that? Like, what would you do, Jay? If you GM of the Denver Broncos?
Wow. Okay. If you're George Payton, you're gone after this year. Because Sean Payton came in and they just left you there because he's going to make all the decisions anyway. Mm-hmm. But you just get out of Sean Payton's way and see if he can turn this around. That's all you can do.
Yeah, or do you just burn the house down in spite and just see what happens?
I think if he tells you I want Russell Wilson, you keep Russell Wilson. If he doesn't, you get rid of him because this is the time where you can get rid of him after this year without eating too big of a cap hit. But I think you let Payton decide. Also, are we going to get into a thing was it Sean Payton or Drew Brees?
That could happen. That could happen. I don't think it has the same effect as Bill Belichick, because again, Sean Payton's side of the ball is the offensive sall, and the offensive side of the ball hasn't really been the problem.
The offensive side of the ball only put up 20 points too, if we want to nitpick in the modern NFL.
Yeah, fair play.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, going for every 4th down. Like, they're not kicking any field goals or anything at that point, though, are they? So they would have had more if they could kick field goals, but they're only going for 30.
What do you think about McDaniel's decision not to kick that field goal at the end and set the record? 72
respect.
Points
I weirdly have record. Yeah, I weirdly have respect for it because it's just like there's no need to rub the nose.
I get it.
You've already scored 70 points.
But for your players, I get it. But for your players, kick that. They own that record for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I get it. I get the respect for not just rubbing the noses in, but then also you've scored 70 points already. You've won by 50 points.
I mean, you remember the Colts sat 2 games when they had a chance to go perfect. They sat Peyton going into the playoffs, so they didn't have the perfect season. Bill Belichick asked his team what they wanted to do, and they're like, we want that perfect record, and they went for it. I respect that. Go for it. This is the NFL. Yeah. If we were playing with kids, absolutely don't rub their face in the fact that they just got their ass whipped. But these are grown-ass adults who are getting paid money. If you don't want to be on that end of an ass whooping, stop them. And especially if you can set a record. I'm like, go set that record. And look at how they ran the ball. It's not like the Miami was trying to rub it in their face all game.
They ran the ball. They had between them. They had Uh, 22, like over 35. They had around 35 carries in this
And they rushed
game.
for like 700 fucking yards. I mean, like,
Yeah. Let's check what they actually rushed for. They rushed for 350 yards. Jesus.
yeah, like I know I was
Just
exaggerating, but fuck, you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like it probably felt like 700 yards if you're the Broncos.
You also look at the receiving core that they've used as well. Like they've used everybody, but Braxton Barrios averaged 16.5 yards a reception. Off 2 receptions, 16.5 yards. Devon Archain also got 2 touchdowns off 4 receptions as well. Yeah, they threw the ball around. Obviously, Tyreek Hill has 9 receptions for 157 yards. So there's that side of the thing as well.
All right, well, we have to do it too. Let's talk some of that Bears defense and offense and that whole team. And they won't do it. This is just my opinion. Fire everybody.
It's a good opportunity to clear out.
Just start over. Fire everybody.
Yeah, it's a really good opportunity for them to clear out with what's gone on in the organization, because you can blame Eberflus and say bad culture. You can, the fact that he took over defensive play calling and they looked worse.
I think you fire Poles too, the GM.
Yeah, just get rid. Yeah,
he squandered the number 1 overall pick by trading it and not coming away with something. I mean, he got picks, but then you turn around and look what he spent the money on, and some of those picks, you're like scratching your head. None of it makes fucking sense.
They did the rebuild wrong. The rebuild was done wrong, where they've spent the money, because now they've spent that money, and it's like, you're not going to make the most of the picks. Where you would have made the most of the picks is next year. You needed that money for next year.
And I know people were literally calling me a moron and an idiot when I said you draft Bryce Young, or I even said if you like CJ Stroud better, you draft him, right? Like if you that's what you like. But me, I draft Bryce Young, and I still traded Fields while he had value.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
There was still some coach that would have gave up 2 seconds in a third team because, I can fix him. He's an athlete. Not anymore. There ain't a fucking coach out there. Every coach is going, glad I didn't pick that dude.
He'll make an excellent backup for Lamar Jackson.
We'll get
wonderful backup for Lamar Jackson.
And if Lamar Jackson are like, KC's a really good team. They are. Absolutely, they're a fucking good team. But they're not fucking whip your ass like that good. Like, you know what I mean? They made it look easy.
Yes. That first half was something else. Watching that first half, you were like, oh my God.
Take away that fucking last touchdown that was in the right end of the game when they were playing prevent and had all the backups in.
Yep.
They had fucking 3 points, bro. Like
they had 10 points in the fourth quarter.
Right. And Justin
all 10
Fields
of their points in the fourth quarter
had 49 fucking yards going into the fourth quarter. 49 fucking yards.
Yeah.
He ended up with 99 and a junk touchdown.
Just looking at Justin Fields' stats here is so bad, by the way. 3 for 11 completions, so through 50% on 22 attempts.
Before that fucking last drive on that touchdown, he literally was at like 38% with 49 yards. It was ridiculous. That prevent, he picked up 50 yards and a bunch of completions that made it look better. That he made that shit fucking stat line look better.
Yeah. He threw for 99 yards total off. Also, when you're 41-10 down, how is your quarterback only throwing 22 times?
And Kansas City's good, but people score on Kansas City.
I don't think they do score on Kansas City this year, by the way. I think if you look at Kansas City this year, they don't score on Kansas City this year. The Jags scored 9 points. The Lions scored, 20?
And the Bears pretty much scored 3 without that junk touchdown.
Yeah, I actually think the Kansas City defense might be one of the best in the league. I think this could be the first time that Patrick Mahomes has a top 10 defense in the league in his career. And the receiving core looked like it might have got its act together. Now, it got its act together against the terrible Chicago Bears team who put, Patrick Mahomes could have sat in the back of that, like behind that offensive line. Patrick Mahomes could have sat there forever. Like they weren't getting to him at all. That is what is really depressing
So
about the Chicago Bears.
You asked how you only throw the ball 22 times, right?
Yeah.
But they only ran the ball like 27 times or 26 times.
Yeah. So it's just they couldn't get the Chiefs off the field. They couldn't get a first down. That's one. Then they couldn't get the Chiefs off the field. That's two. So like they just had nothing. They had nothing going for them. But then you say they couldn't get the Chiefs off the field. Patrick Mahomes throws for 272 yards, which is good. 272 yards and 3 touchdowns is pretty wild. You also have Blaine Gabbert then come in, who throws for 31 yards and 2 interceptions. And you still only get 10 points, by the way. Those 3 points at the end of the beginning of the fourth quarter are from an interception, which is ran to within field goal range. So they made no more yards off that interception. So it's not an offensive field goal, really. That's a defensive field goal, if those things exist. But I'm gonna have to go, like, I'm not gonna defend Fields anymore. I do think he got put in a shitty situation. I do think if he got better coaching earlier on, he would be able to read defenses better. But also at the same time, like, you need to take ownership of this kind of thing.
The fucking Bears are so
their
bad.
Defense is a problem. Again, this is another Russell Wilson and the Broncos situation where Justin Fields isn't the solution, in the same way that Russell Wilson also isn't the solution to their problem. But their problem isn't only Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. The problem is they can't get anybody off the field and their defense sucks. And I have a feeling that the Bears would be decent if they got in front, because they could just run the ball with Fields and run the ball with their running backs. However, they never get in front because they can't move the ball and they can't stop the other team from moving the ball. They were 24 points down before you even looked up last night.
I fucking can't believe I watched as much of that game as I did too. It was brutal.
I was so pissed off how much of it was on Red Zone while the Cowboys were playing.
I was watching that game. I was watching 3 fucking games at once.
It was that game, the Cowboys games, and the Carolina game.
Yeah, I was watching Carolina, the Cowboys, and that game all at the same time.
Yeah.
They were on my laptop and then flipping back and forth from Fox and CBS on my TV.
Yeah, I had Red Zone on because Sky must be so pissed at themselves. So Sky they let the fans decide the game that went on this slate, and the fans decided Chiefs Bears. So Chiefs Bears was the one that they got live this week.
They just wanted to see Mahomes.
Well, there's a lot of Chicago Bears fans out here from how good they were in the 80s and things like that, because that's when football first started becoming big in the UK. So you get a lot of Bears fans, and you obviously get a lot of KC fans because the newer wave of fans have grown up with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and stuff like that. So you get that. And also, you have a lot of Cowboys fans over here as well, but you have barely any Arizona Cardinals fans, so they're not voting on that game.
Well, speaking of that game, and I do have one question for you, Maddie, but I'm going to apologize before I even ask it, but here's the question.
That's okay. Yeah. Come on. It's just
if it wasn't Shannon Sharp, I probably wouldn't even have used it, but I saw it and it made me laugh so hard.
Kick in the dick, Oh, Jesus. That game was so. Let me talk you through my sporting day yesterday, because as a Brit, we're into a million sports.
And I know what you're going to say. My apologies, sir.
Did you check the game as well?
I did, just to see how it went for you. My apologies.
Yeah, that's not good either. So my sporting day yesterday is a mixture of good and bad stuff. So I go see a football game with my dad where Sunderland lose against Cardiff in the last 3 minutes of the game, where we were the better team but didn't deserve the win. That kind of game, but we lost to a corner kick in the last. But then Wales played Australia in the Rugby World Cup, and they won. And they qualified for the quarterfinals of the Rugby World Cup. So we were on a high. Me and my dad were like, right, okay, something against Cardiff doesn't really matter too much. Wales have just qualified for the quarterfinals of the World Cup. We are on a high going into watching Dallas against Arizona. And we're thinking, cool, probably, like, I've had a tiring day, been up watching a lot of sport today, probably be able to be in bed by about 11 o'clock once the Cowboys have put this to bed. They're in front by 20 and whatever at halftime. Could probably then go to sleep after that. And the game is so shit. It's just so bad. I've never been putting up. There are games that I've been more upset about, but this just put me in a generally bad mood.
I gotta ask you if you were in the same mindset I was, though. So I'm watching the game, and more I watch the game, I'm just like, okay, now they're gonna turn it on. Okay,
Yeah.
now they're gonna turn it on. Okay, they're still in this fucking thing, and then all of a sudden, what was there? It was the fourth quarter, and I still thought you guys had a shot at winning that thing, and then it got snatched.
It was 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter when we were inside the red zone, and I was like, right, okay, here we are, 8 minutes to go, fourth quarter, one possession game, we're in the red zone, here we are. By the way, two PIs, one of which is absolutely egregious. The no call on a PI on Michael Gallup is egregious, like so bad. There's one on CD Lamb where he's pulling him, but because the cornerback turns his head around, you're like, all right, okay, I guess he's got his head around, but he's already committed PI before he's got his head around, but fine, whatever, okay. But the PI on Michael Gallup, they throw the flag and pick the fucking flag up. They pick it up. Once the flag's been thrown, you've got to prove that it's not PI. There's no way that it's not PI. Like, he wipes him out. Like the other one where you're like, okay, he's turned his head around. The guy just bull rushes him and they say, oh, the timing was perfect. No, it wasn't, because he wipes him out in the air before the ball gets there. What are you talking about? But as annoyed as I'm getting about it, it's more from a place of it shouldn't have come down to a bad refereeing call. Like, it shouldn't be coming down to a bad refereeing call. They should have won that game without any of that.
Through 4 incompletions.
Yeah, that doesn't help. But again, the Cowboys defense looked flat. Did the Cowboys defensive line look really flat to you? Or is it just me expecting too much?
I mean, Micah looked like Micah.
Yeah, Micah. All right. Okay, Micah looked like Micah, but which means they can just go the other way.
That's what I was just going to say.
Didn't look like
they did a great job of neutralizing him because they gave Dobbs more time by shifting the whole line away from him. If you watched some of those plays, it was almost like college. The whole pocket moved with him.
Yeah, and they run the ball. This is something that happened against Micah last year, actually, where they run the ball directly at Micah because they know that Micah's just going to pass rush. Like, Micah Parsons wants those sacks. He's not there to, like, Micah Parsons, he can do that because he's so athletic that he can defend the run on the way to the quarterback. So it works a lot of the time, but they just targeted running directly at him the entire time. That Randall Moore touchdown is a complete pain in the ass.
How linebackers. Pollard end up with 3 receptions for -3 yards?
Because our offense is dull up. So in the for fuck's sake.
Literally think about that, though. I can see 1 reception minus like 5 yards. I get it because you got caught in the backfield. But like 3 receptions for -1 yard. With 3 receptions, you should have plus something.
Maybe he just had 1 massive loss.
I get it, but it's still just fucking 3 receptions -1 yard. Don't get me wrong. Dak spread the ball around.
So it's what I said. So basically, what we were saying
caught the ball.
What we were saying in the preseason about worrying about Mike McCarthy's offense and the way he's going to look when he's calling the offensive plays, I've then started to come off that and started giving Mike McCarthy props for the first 2 games of the season because I've said, okay, complimentary winning football. Maybe Kellen Moore wasn't playing complimentary winning football, and that can still be true. That's by the by, because the Chargers are not playing complimentary football to their defensive woes either. They're just racking up yards and points and stuff like that. But the red zone is a worry. And we did say this last week, and you very rightly pointed out that they only made field goals. And I was saying, like, right, well, they didn't have to take any risk. You may as well just take the field goal. No point in taking the risk against the Jets. But they, in their red zone, they look dull. They got to the red zone plenty of times. They got to the red zone plenty of times and looked so dull.
I can't even dunk on them because it did not look like the Cowboys even fucking showed up. Like,
that's him, though. That's happened. That's happened with Mike McCarthy before. Like, that's a cultural issue. People have come out blaming Dak again, and that interception is horrible.
That's all I can say is that was a bad.
That's a bad interception, and it's a bad time, and it's a really bad look for Dak Prescott there as well. But he throws for 250 yards. He makes on a lot of plays. He's the reason that we make third downs. When him rushing, he rushed well. Like, on third down, he converted at least 2 third downs with his legs. Rushed for 24 yards off 3 carries. So in some areas, Dak looked really good, but props to the Cardinals defense. You schemed up well. The Cardinals are maybe a bit better than we're giving them credit for, but not a lot better than we're giving them credit for. Coming into the year,
well,
and the Cowboys just didn't show up.
Their record says they're better than the Vikings, the Broncos. Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah. The Cowboys didn't show up at all, and that's a Mike McCarthy issue. And I still don't like him.
If the Vikings lose to the Carolina Panthers, I might not watch another fucking Vikings game all year. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, fair enough. This game makes me a little bit worried about the Patriots, but then it also makes me... The Cowboys are always good for a poor performance every now and again, and then they back it up with a really good one afterwards. I think back to the... who is it? The Broncos game. We done like 8-0 2 seasons ago, and then the Broncos come in and beat us, like, run the ball for 250 yards because our defense just decides they're not going to play the run that day and beats us by 30. There's a very Cowboys loss right there.
Moore looked like he was shot out of a cannon on that touchdown.
That, like, good play design, poor linebacker alignment. They weren't ready. Also, what people aren't pointing out is the fact that Zach Martin was missing, Tyron Smith got injured, Biadish was missing. We were playing two new guards. You can't
use any of that as an excuse because you're playing the Arizona Cardinals without Kyler Murray.
Agreed. Like, okay. Don't get me... Still pissed. Still an awful loss. It's just like, let's remember. Also, want to give props. The run game looked decent. The run game looked decent with the interior offensive line all out injured. The run game still looked good. Shout out to Pollard for doing that. And Dowdle's touchdown looked good, but Jesus Christ, if they play like that against the Patriots next week, I'll be seething.
Well, let's talk about your real favorite team, the Eagles. They're going to be playing the Buccaneers in Tampa tonight. I took the Eagles in that game. I didn't get to finish watching what you did. Did you end up picking the Eagles in that game?
I haven't picked today's games because I knew we were doing this show.
Okay, I did.
And I already realized I was at half an hour. Like, I realized that I was at double the amount of time you did your show in because I'm a rambler. So,
I'm from the Midwest and we talk very fast. We get told by everybody we need to slow down.
Smash it. It's also the first show that we've ever done where I didn't end with cheerio. I realized that when you said deuces on your show, I was like, oh my God, I forgot to say cheerio. Because now when I hear deuces, it's force of habit to say.
Well, I was going to edit them both together, but Maddie didn't get them done until I was sleeping. So they just ran separately. No problem. They still got out there. But I was just going to link them together on a quick edit and have it go from me to you. So I'm glad I didn't, because I was going to, at the end of mine, be all clever and be like, I tossed it now back to you, Maddie, or some shit like that, like the news people do.
That would have been fun. We'll do that again. If we have to do that next time, we'll have more chats and do that kind of shit. That would be fun. Okay, so the Eagles tonight. What's the point spread? Do you know?
No, I don't have it up right now.
Okay, let me just get it up.
I thought
you go through your stuff.
I I'm excited to see Baker against the Eagles. I really want to see how he plays. Um, I want to see if the Eagles are the Eagles from last year, or if like, are they going to get back around? Is their offensive coordinator being gone a huge fucking deal for them? Are they going to figure it out? They haven't looked the greatest to me, or they haven't looked. They're 2-0, so I'm like talking shit here about like, but they haven't looked like they did
No,
last year.
I know what you mean. Yeah, they haven't looked fluid. They haven't looked smooth. The spread is -5.5.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember now that you said it.
Yeah, the spread is minus
What's the
five and a
spread
half.
on the Bengals game? Because I picked the Bengals, but I don't remember.
Yeah, the Bengals spread is -3.5 to the Bengals.
That's right. It was low, and I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that the Bengals are favored. We'll move on to that game in a sec. But I'm excited to watch it because we seem to have coming into this year. I don't know if you did it, but we didn't talk about the Buccaneers much. We maybe mentioned them for about like 10 minutes in a podcast once.
We both said we like Baker, but we'll see how it plays out down in Tampa, right?
Basically.
So,
but I feel like we forgot. I feel like I definitely forgot just how good his offensive weapons are. And I think we did mention, like, look, they've got Mike Evans, so anything's possible. And if that offensive line is
I was just going to say, and this is no shot at the
healthy,
GOAT. Let me say that first. Tom Brady is the GOAT, right?
yeah.
That offensive line looks a lot better with Brady or with Baker moving the pocket back there than it did with Brady standing still.
Yeah, they're also all healthy, which is helpful.
They still were getting pressure up the middle, which is Brady's kryptonite, right?
Yeah,
because Brady's a master at stepping up and manipulating the pocket. Baker's, you watch, they designed the plays for Baker to get out of the pocket.
Yeah.
Middle push is less of a problem.
Yeah, I quite like a Baker bootleg, to be honest. Baker on a bootleg is a nice little addition to the NFL. And this Eagles team can be thrown on as well. You can definitely throw on the Eagles team. I mean, they've got James Bradbury's back today. Back and playing for them today, which makes a big difference. But the Vikings throw on them for 28 points. Kirk Cousins threw for 364 yards and 4 touchdowns. How do you lose a game where you throw for 364 yards and 4 touchdowns? Sorry.
Fumbles and bad defense.
Yeah, not rub. Sorry, mate. I
No,
wasn't meant to rub that in.
I'm actually getting to accept this already, but yeah, fumbles and bad defense.
And the Patriots, Mac Jones actually threw for 316 yards on them.
So what do you think?
So you can throw on them. I'm going to take the Eagles -5.5, just because I think James Bradbury's back, and I think that their offense is pretty significantly good. But I mean, the Buccaneers have a route to win this game. They have good defense, and they can throw the ball on the Eagles. The over/under is 44. I'm going to take the over, I think, on that one.
Okay. What do you think on that Bengals Rams game? I think that's disrespecting Joey Burrow, even though he's hurt. That team is so fucking talented. And I know they started slow last year. I said this on the pod too. Even though I'm taking them, it scares me because Burrow doesn't look healthy. He just doesn't look healthy. But I have to feel like they're going to come out. They're not going to go 0-3. They're just not.
I've been saying this is going to be a down year for the Bengals since the start of the season. I didn't expect them to be 0-2, possibly 0-3. I didn't expect them to be 0-3. But obviously, Joe Burrow is injured, and the Rams are much better than we thought they were going to be. The Rams are a way better team than we thought they were going to be. They've got a good run game now. Kyren Williams looks legit. Matthew Stafford's arm has not fallen off. Surprise to pretty much everybody.
It was reattached because I still argue it fell off. It reattached.
Yeah. They've done some sort of like bionic shit to his arm. They've gone to a lab they've got the guys in Silicon Valley to remake Matthew Stafford's arm and reattach it as a bionic arm instead. And they found Cooper Kupp 2.0 in the draft in Unku. We're going to have to learn how to say his name in order to put more respect on his name. But yeah, I actually think that it's mad that the Bengals are favorite in this game. I mean, they're saying on the neutral field that it's a wash, right? Because it's -3. But I really do think it's crazy that the Bengals are favorite because Joey Burrow's hurt, and the Rams have a guy called Aaron Donald, who can push up the middle against anybody, and the Bengals' offensive line is sometimes very sketchy. Let's just leave it at that. I'm going to take the Rams at +3 on that one.
All right. Well, at least we didn't agree on it.
We agreed on a surprising amount of our picks, considering we did the shows totally separately, by the way, this week.
Yeah.
Just means we just practice what we preach the entire time. The over-under is 45.5. I'm going to... Oh, that's a lot. 45.5 feels like quite a lot.
24.
I wouldn't bet on this. I wouldn't bet on the over of 45.5. But if I had to bet, I'd probably pick the under.
That's 24 to 21 is, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to take the under on that one.
All right, Maddie, we did it. We made it through another show. I get 2 games of football that I don't get to watch the whole fucking. Just don't get me started.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really not understanding this at all. When we only had 3 on the late slate yesterday. So
yeah,
why would you have
jam-packed 12 o'clock? It's ridiculous. Yeah. They put there was 3, then 4 with Thursday night, 5, 6. That means they popped 10 games at the 12 o'clock hour.
Yeah, so that it just makes no sense. To have 2 here as well. Let's just have Tuesday night football. What's wrong with a bit of Tuesday night football?
I agree.
Nothing.
And I know it's because of college football and shit like that, but just throw a Saturday night game up there and fuck college football.
College football's got its own fans now anyway.
Well, we can watch college football all day long and then finish the night with an NFL game. I'm good with that.
Yeah, there are fans that religiously watch college football as well. Like you're not losing like a decent amount of your viewership.
I think college football would lose viewership more than the NFL. Like on a standalone game, the NFL is always going to win.
Yeah, definitely. But what I'm saying is, like, the college football doesn't lose crazy amounts of viewership either. If you make sure you don't have like who's the big game this week? What is it? The
USC Colorado is pretty.
USC Colorado, right? As long as you don't put the NFL at the same time as USC Colorado, then college football's still going to get its viewership.
That's noon here, so you know what I mean.
Yeah. Nighttime, Saturday night game, you'd be fine.
I watch football all day on Saturday and all night too, but I would leave all those college games I'm watching on Saturday night to watch the NFL.
Yeah, and it would just college just don't play your games on. Don't pay your big games on a Saturday
I think
night.
there's some legal thing where they can't do it because they have some agreement with college football, and that they have to wait till the college football season's over, and that's when they start doing Saturdays then in the NFL. But yeah.
I kind of want the NFL to start a feeder league rather than just using college football because I think it's better for player development.
The XFL and USFL both made it through a season.
Yeah, they made it for a season. They're not right. They're not the right level of development league, though. I'm kind of talking about like you would have the Dallas Cowboys, but they wouldn't be called the Dallas Cowboys. They'd be called.
There's not enough players for 32 developmental teams, though.
I think there's more than enough players.
No, then it ends up like NFL Europe, like.
Yeah, NFL Europe. That'd be great. Bring back NFL Europe.
Look what it's, dude. NFL Germany is as bad as D3 college football.
Yeah, so so invest money. You invest money in it. This is a totally different podcast topic. We've got 5 minutes. We can't get into this.
Nope, and
these are one of the rabbit holes.
Otherwise, I can't upload it to Instagram.
These are one of the rabbit holes that we end up going in. Let's not do this time.
We can't today because I said, I want to upload it to Instagram, and we won't have a chance if we go over that hour.
Yeah, and we could talk an hour just on that topic, so let's not get in. But yes, 2 games. It is fun to be able to review 2 games on the next show, though, so that's fun.
And we might have some new little segments for you, so that'll be cool.
A Yankee and the Brit Wednesday show. Wow, we're going all week round now. We're doing what the NFL should be doing.
Yeah, Wednesday night football. I'm in. Give me Tuesday night football. I don't give a shit. I'm good
Give
with
me
it.
NFL game every week, every day of the week, every day of the week. That's basically what football is over here now.
Yeah, we need football every day of the week. Less and less guys are getting married in the United States too, so they need shit to do.
All right, okay. Interesting stat. That should correlate in some way to something else.
And
I blame Andrew Tate.
We're 2 women to every 1 guy, and less guys want to get married. So,
oh well, that could be it.
We might have to start polygamy to get everybody a husband. I don't know. Hey, I love my wife, but I definitely don't want 2 of them.
Yeah. BYU starts taking over.
The Latter-day Saints. There you go. All right, we'll stop before we get ourselves canceled. Because I technically think the LDS is against polygamy, and it's the other Mormons that are for polygamy, and I don't want to be a dick. And
okay, sorry BYU, I take it back.
Yeah, I think it's the fundamentalist Latter-day Saints that believe in polygamy, and the actual Latter-day Saints don't. So,
right, you. Got again.
They don't like to be called Mormon anymore. I found out they're all Latter-day Saints now. So,
oh wow. Well, Jay's been doing his research on the Latter-day Saints. It's pretty. You're an educated guy, man.
Was on Pat McAfee, and they were talking about it.
Oh right, okay. Well, that could do it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get out of here before that hour hits. So, thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.